Hey, my name's Mark. I just want to go through and show off this project I threw together the other day. So I was watching the Vergecast, and they're broadcasting live from CES right now, and I saw this big screen monitor in the background. I thought it was a really cool design. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to remake that. And so I kind of did like my own style to it, and I dig it. And I posted it online. I put it on, I think, Google Plus and the After Effects subreddit. And someone on there, the name was I am the chemist, was like, yo, can I get the project file? And I was like, hey dude, teach a man to fish. I know that whole thing. And if I give you a fish, you're just gonna sell that for beer. But if I teach you to fish, you will create a pyramid scheme, and you get fish for your whole life, man. So let's do this. First I'll show off the project. That'll be part one of the video, and then I'll go through and recreate the project. So let's see. Bottom layer, we'll start with that. So let's solo the layer. I'll try to keep this fast, so just so it doesn't get crazy long. If you go to full res, you'll see the detail of the texture. And so there's a texture going on here. It's a very dull and dark layer, and you'll see in the adjustment layers it come more to life. So it's a ramp that we're using to get our colors going. And because didn't mean to hit the pen tool. You go to solid settings, and this is the background layer color. So that's how we have the whole color thing going on. And we're blending with the original so that it's not, so we can find a balance. Like, do we want it blue? Do we want it red? Where do we want to sit that? So, and then the texture's right here, and it's got a warning, and I'll explain that real quick. If I turn off the texture, you'll notice some banding, and I don't know if you can see, the banding at all. That happens, and if I bump it up to 32 bits per channel, it'll be even less, but at 8, it just bugs me so much, so I had to turn that to 16 just to kind of smooth that out quite a bit. And I recommend doing that on anything you're using gradients on. Even if it's going to web, like it's best to give web the best quality. That way when YouTube rapes it, like it will still have some of that like original detail. So yeah, that's the background layer, and it's pretty simple. And let's see, I'll explain the sound file in a minute. Here's the light leaks, which I have it barely visible. And in the description, I'll have links to everything, and I'll show it off real quick. So here's the light leaks file. There's a seamless textures pack. There's 30 textures in there that are really awesome. I use them on a lot of little projects. And then here's an audio file used. Here's the expressions that I use for position and rotation, and here's the 2 colors that I ended up using in the project, which you've already seen. But yeah, so back to the light leaks. I'm using screen because that helps the light helps it go through, and then I have the opacity crazy high. So that allows it to only kind of add to the project. So if I turn it on and off, see how that's kind of like, I think I left my texture off. Yeah, I did. Okay. So yeah, if you notice as I turn this on and off, it just kind of adds a little bit to it. And when you watch it as a video, you'll notice that there's kind of a little bit of color changing going on. That's because of this layer. So just kind of like slowly, evolves the color around, or moves the color around. Let's see, here's a bunch of I was calling them banners in my head, but yeah, so these are all those layers sitting on the outside that are constantly in motion. And let me go to the position. And so I have a expression on here, which I've already shown you the expression. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just do this. So here's the wiggle expression, and I have that to move 20 pixels or so in various directions. And then there's the speed basically, and then the same thing with the rotation. I set the rotation much smaller because it's a big object, so it wobbles quite a bit. If you set the to, let's say, 20, it's actually rotating quite a bit. But yeah, so that's those layers, and if I pull up the opacity, you'll see they're at 10%. So they're there's no textures. There's not really, I don't even think there's a single, there's no effects on these layers. So all the texture detail that's showing through it is because of the opacity. And since it's only at 10, you know, it works out pretty well. And I like having it as the opacity because they layer over each other and then they get brighter. So pretty nice. All right, we got a couple adjustment layers here, and I'll go through and explain those. First one's the big one. This is the one that pretty much adds all the color that just looks vibrant. So you remember the background layer was really dull. So if I turn off the adjustment layer, see how that just like pops it? It's like, yo, look up. I'm a layer. And so yeah, then we have, oh, I have this ramp. And I thought this left side was a little too dark, especially in the beginning. So let me turn it off so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It was just a little dark. Felt like it was so bright on the right side. And I figured we wanted to balance, or I wanted to balance it. So I didn't want to have it be like, you know, just look like the whole project was a ramp. So I kind of gave a little more like light coming in from the side. And I did that by screening and setting up a pretty hardcore ramp. So if I go to turn up the opacity, now you can see it actually goes from one corner to the other. And yeah, so I have it, I have the opacity low, so you can even see where the dark line is at. And then I set this to screen, and it just adds a little bit that kind of brightens up that side. And see what layer this is. Oh, this is my lens flare. So I have a lens flare off on the side, and you can see the point that it starts at. Let me then move forward. This is the next point. I put it about halfway, and then all the way here at the bottom. And I have it blend with the original less right here, and this is where it becomes its brightest. The flares really show up a lot more, and I like it because it kind of sits right above where it says Vergecast. So it's not really like interfering with the letter so much, and it just kind of seems like just adds a nice touch, and then it kind of blends it back out. So, and it's not completely gone. It's there, but just not as much. And that's full opacity, or yeah, the opacity is set all the way up, so it's fully visible. Then we have this one, which is kind of, I don't know, the design, there's this shape, this kind of like a diamond-like shape that I have going on in the background, and I wanted to have that kind of feel like it was laying down, almost like the Vergecast was sitting on that layer. So yeah, this is the layer. I think it's just you know, a mask. I set some let's see, I feathered it a little bit, and the opacity was at 30. So it's visible, adds a little bit, doesn't add a lot, but I felt like there needed to be something, you know, so that's that. Let's see, now we're at the logo thing. So we have the Vergecast thing, which I said I got, I think, from Wikipedia, and they have an SVG on there, converted it to a, you know, Illustrator file when I saved it, and I had to remove their logo title on the bottom. But yeah, so basically this continuously rasterizes because that was checked, so it's nice and sharp. And then we have it's set to a different blending style so that we don't have their original colors, and it helps fit the project a little more. I felt like I would have had to warm up the project if I used their colors, so I liked having that. And I think I put the opacity at 38. That's why you're seeing some of this go through it. If I ramp this back up, it'll definitely sit on top, but I don't like that. I like it being a little bit see-through. Let's see, we got the solid right here, and this might take a second to explain. Let's see, we have it screening, so we'll turn off the screen, and we also have some opacity in there, so we'll get rid of that. And you'll see how ugly that layer is, because there's a really disgusting ramp on there. Yeah, so this ramp, you know, we started right here, and we had the black actually extended past the design, and that's because we're going to screen it. So once we add the screen back in, brings, you know, we have opacity where it was dark, and so I don't even know, was this at 11? No, it was it. I answered everything. Yeah, 42. So this is just kind of like a little trick to have it. Like, I could have done this with a mask, and I didn't want to. I felt like this was easier, and I like the look of it. But yeah, so that's that. Then we have Vergecast, which is the title, and the text, I believe, is part of the Myriad font pack. So if you have that font pack, you probably have this font. If not, use Roboto. It's a part of the Android font set. I'm pretty sure it's free online, and it looks pretty freaking close. But yeah, so check out that font. Here's same thing with this one. There's nothing really special with the font, so we'll move past that. There's the null that's holding on to all that stuff, and I have a position, and it's set to wiggle, and it wiggles half the distance of the these banner-like layers, which I've already locked, so I'm not going to bother showing you. But yeah, so I think the banners can only move at 0.2, colon 20, I think. My original project had it at 40 for the banners, and those they just move way too much. But yeah, so that's that. And then we have one last adjustment layer, which helps make the logo pop a little. Now it does affect the background too, but I feel like it just really helps do another little pop that brings this thing to life. And if I actually go through and I select all these adjustment layers really quick, you'll see that this thing is really brought to life by the adjustment layers. I mean, it would not have so much of a vibrant look to it without it. And maybe it was the way that I picked my colors initially, but I tend to do this on every project, and it really helps bring them into a nice balance. Like, I love the way it affects the project. So that pretty much shows it off. Let me go ahead and render it real quick, and I will play it back so you can hear it with the audio, because I don't think I posted one with audio on it, because I wasn't sure how I didn't read the Creative Commons on it. So let me go ahead and do that now. All right, so this is the one with music, and I also have it scaling forward. I don't think I showed you that with the null object, so it's slowly moving by, I think, 10% or something. But yeah, so you know what? I have my my light leaks playing back at half the rate, and I have it set to pixel motion, which means I need to turn on frame blending. Otherwise, it's choppy, and I don't know if you noticed that the light leak happening in the background was actually really choppy. So I'm gonna let this re-render real quick. All right, just finished rendering, and yeah, I don't know if you can see the light leak going on in the background, but it adds just a little bit, and I love it. Like, I think it's just perfect. So yeah, that's the project. Hopefully that gave you an idea for how it's set up, and I'll zip up the project and post it soon. And I'll work on a part 2 real quick that will kind of show you how to actually make the project from scratch. Hope you enjoyed.